Hey Rebelscum, welcome back. I got another Beast Kingdom sponsored review for you today. Of course, we're going to be taking a look at the Death Trooper this time. I showed you the Shore Trooper, showed you the Darth Vader. We're checking out. All three of these guys can be based on their appearance in Rogue One. This number in the series is 161, but it is a straight reissue of the 039 that came out around a little after Rogue One did. Everything's the same, just a little bit different on the box work. We'll check out the figures and make sure they're the same as well. But let's look at this box really quick. And I've shown you with the other ones. It's got this interesting color scheme on it. A bit of a divergence from like I showed you here, what they did before. Still a little window box, but just changing up the, making it pop a little bit more with these colors. And on the back, showing you some more action shots of the character this time. This guy's going to feature 26 movable joints. We'll try to find them all. And have a light up function, which is great because the Death Troopers had that very unique part of their helmet. There's some other stuff on this box. I don't think it was meant to be on here. I think they mixed it up with Darth Vader because it talks about handle for the lightsaber, real fabric, cape. None of those are on the Death Trooper. So I just think the box kind of got mixed up. But that's all for the box. I want to check out what's inside and show you guys this awesome figure. So I popped my Death Trooper out here, so you don't need to see me opening the box. It's just one piece of tape, and the whole thing comes out in the carton here. Looking at the stand, it says Death Trooper on it. The original one said Death Trooper, but it also had a Rogue One logo. This has a Star Wars logo, so a little change there. Check out our Death Trooper. So looking at him here, we have an assortment of weapons. We have his blaster rifle here, with a little bit of weathering on it. I'll give you guys a close-up look at that. The next we have that pistol. Forgive me, I don't know the full name of the pistol, but this was, we saw this in Rogue One. K2SO used it. He took it from the security guard. This has got some weathering on it as well. And then we saw it, of course, in The Mandalorian in the first episode. One of the Remnant Troopers had it. We have an assortment of hands. I like about the hands, they got a little piece of shiny reflective armor on each of them. So these are going to be weapon holding hands for the rifles here. And then we have some gesturing hands. So very similar to the Shore Trooper, similar sets of hands. We have one other piece here. I'm not exactly sure what this is, so we'll have to check this out in a second. This has got a little metal piece underneath, so it looks like it attaches magnetically to something. We'll check that out. There's no instruction manual here, so we'll have to see why they included that separately. And then we have the Death Trooper himself. So this guy is all kitted out with his little vest on here, and his grenades, his sonic grenades on the front there. He's got a pauldron on here, and I mean, he looks amazing. So why don't well, of course, I got to show you the light up feature. He's going to have a switch on the side here, and boom, there we go. We have his little light up helmet. That looks awesome. If you wanted to replace the batteries, of course, right there in the back. But why don't I start and give you guys a nice close-up look at this guy, fully kitted out. I'll put his rifle in his hand. You can see here a lot of awesome detail. I love the really reflective nature of the armor. Of course, these are lenses. They're not painted on there. So you could really get a nice look on the helmet there. And then that glow feature is not lost on him. I mean, that's just awesome to see that glow feature. The vest is a separate piece. Try removing it so I could see if you could do a Death Trooper with and without the pauldron and the gear. Sort of like a squad leader and then a standard Death Trooper. Paint applications on this guy are super tight on the belt, on the little wrist gear there. The rest of him is just a shiny black, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, one of my favorite designs. These troopers, they're just awesome. You can never have enough of the Death Trooper. And they did a really bang-up job making this guy, and that glowing helmet is a sort of a must with a Death Trooper, so it's nice to have that feature on here. But looking at his articulation, we have those elbows, the shoulders, and these pop out so you get that cross-body movement. We have that wrist articulation, both sides there. We have that midsection articulation. It looks like a double midsection, actually. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that was just the body, Listen to the bandolier moving around there. So just a single midsection articulation there. And then he's got that hip articulation, and the hips pull out a little bit. So you get a little bit more extension on the legs for a kneeling pose. He's got that double knee. He's got the ankle articulation, and then that foot articulation as well. So pretty much standard between the other armored units we saw with the Shore Trooper. We could see this in the Stormtrooper as well. So it's kind of consistent across the board. Still not sure where this goes. I have not seen a instance for it. It's some kind of weird piece. I might have to ask Peace Kingdom because I'm not really sure. Sometimes they have a guide on where these things go or what they do, but this one does not. What I do see here, and you saw it in the close-up, is the hook on the side here for his sidearm. So you could put this in a couple of ways. I just kind of throw it in this way. It might not be the ideal way, but I think it sits on there a little bit more securely than it does if you had it in the a downward-facing way here. Kind of tricky to maneuver it into that position, but you can if you want it. You're just kind of resting it on the trigger guard, and it's tricky. I mean, it's really tricky. You have to kind of put it on there in an angle and turn it around, and then it doesn't really sit there all that well. So I think if you put it in face up like this, you can get it to sit nice and secure. No, I had it nice and secure. There we go, nice and secure on its side here. So it's a way to display the other weapon as well. And then of course we'll do our little hand test here. So again, I like to do a little twist. This came off pretty easy, and this one should pop on pretty easy as well. And the hand, like I said with these, I like sometimes putting them in the hand first before I put the hand on, just because it's easier to maneuver it. And I'm going to turn these off because these are very bright. So I have them glaring in my eyes while I'm trying to do this. They are not dim lights at all, so you'll be happy with that. They will light up a room. So I got his gun in there, pretty easy. And then on the other hand, I like to put a little gesturing hand in there just because he's keeping the crowd away. But also it's an easy way to hold the gun if you want to do like a two-hand sentry pose or something. So you could, remember you have those shoulders, so you could pop it out a little bit here. And then you could take this over here and have a nice extended arm pose with the gun. So you could hold it like that. Yep, there we go. Little maneuvering. It's the big head is what kind of does it. But a little maneuvering, you get the gun in the hand there. Similar like you would with a Black Series figure or something like that, but this could give you a little bit more reach because you could do that, take the arm out and pose it around. So you get just a little bit more agency out of the arms there. So let me try taking this bandolier off, and then I'll show you how he looks compared to the previous release. All right, so here we go. It was easy to take off his vest. Basically, I popped the head off. This guy slides right up, no problem. Then the head's in that little ball joint, so you could put it right back in. As far as the vest goes, once you had that head off, this could just pop off the top. And this actually just connects right here on the side. So you could just disconnect it and pull it right off of him without having to struggle with the body there. So easy to get him into that other mode of Death Trooper without the pauldron. And I figured out what this was. It was a macro motion monitor. Did not come with the original Death Trooper. Other than that, they are identical. But this essentially is magnetized, and it just clips onto his helmet right here. And then you have that, if you get it in the right position, there we go. Clips right on, and then you have that little macro motion monitor that goes on his helmet, which is a very awesome feature. I think it was more on this version with the pauldron than not, despite the fact that it never came with the original. Let's see if it works with the original. Get this guy to stand. There we go. So it should essentially clip on to the same place, and there it goes. Yep, he had a magnet in his head. It's identical, the same figure. The original release did not have this macro motion monitor that you could throw onto the helmet and give that extra little touch that the Death Troopers have. And it just kind of completes the look. I love when they do the magnetic functions. They did this for the First Order Stormtrooper. His gun would clip to his waist. The Mandalorian has a magnetic jetpack. I believe Boba Fett has a magnetic jetpack. I believe a couple other characters have magnetic functions as well to help things cling into place. The Sand Trooper, I believe, as well with his jet backpack. So that's awesome. It's a fun way to connect things and make sure they're a little bit more snug than if they're just pressure fitted, as long as you don't touch them. They're not gonna fall off. They're on there pretty good. But the magnets on the jetpacks are a lot stronger than the one on this headpiece here. But that's a fun hidden feature. There's nothing in the instructions. It doesn't tell you what it is. It doesn't tell you how it goes on. So I had to play around with it to figure it out, and then I looked at some of the other Death Troopers I have, and it just popped. But yeah, so that's an additional feature on there. So you could display this guy one of two ways, and this one I just have not set right. Once you get the, here we go, the hip was out. You could set him one of two ways. You could have him in his standard mode or with the pauldron. So however you want to do it, it's fun. You get a couple of options. They did this with the First Order Stormtroopers. They had different color pauldrons, or you could do no pauldron. So it's fun when they give you a couple of options to display these characters in a different garb, essentially. So a lot of bonuses on this one. You got options of doing him as the a commando or squad leader Death Trooper, or standard Death Trooper, or with this macro motion monitor on his head, with either the guns, with the lights on, which you got to take this thing off in order to, here we go, with the lights on, all sorts of different ways that you could display him and get a little bit more agency out of his look. I think it's fun. I think these LEDs, it's hard to tell if they're stronger. I think it's just their newer set of battery. I haven't changed this one in like 5 or 6 years, so it's a little less light than the other one. But they last a long time, as you can see. So it's great that they brought this guy back. He was pretty awesome in an initial release, so we got him reissued right here. Nothing's changed. You just get an extra accessory to complete his look. So we're picking him up if you missed him the first time. So that is our look. That finishes our Beast Kingdom series. There, of course, be more coming out. The next new release is going to be that Obi-Wan, and this will be the first time they've done a human character, although they did tease some Rogue One characters that never made it to print. There was going to be a Baze, there was going to be a Chirrut, never happened. There was going to be a Luke Jedi Knight. Again, they never happened, but we did just get a tease this week of a Luke Jedi Knight, which might be that Luke Jedi Knight that they teased several years ago before the line went on a temporary hiatus. So hopefully that is, or it could be Mandalorian Luke. It's hard to tell if it's going to be Jedi Luke or Mandalorian Luke. Return of the Jedi Luke or Mandalorian Luke, but we'll see. There's also a tease of an Obi-Wan Clone Wars, and we do have an Obi-Wan mold coming out pretty soon. But now we're going to get Clone Wars Obi-Wan with the General Kenobi with the armor. So I love that look for him. So that's pretty cool. So those will be coming out in the near future. And then we saw last year at Comic-Con that tease of Jabba the Hutt with a Salacious Crumb, so we'll see how that set comes out as well. And I think they had a special colored C-3PO in there. I don't know if that was for the case or if we're going to get a slimy C-3PO, but we'll see. So a lot of awesome figures coming out from Beast Kingdom. So just keep tuning back. I'll be sure to cover those. But for right now, you want to pick this guy up. It runs about $80, $90. You can get a discount code if you use our special code, which will be in this article. For first-time buyers, get 10% off. It's worth checking out. There are other lines as well. They cover a lot of different properties, so you might see something from the world of Marvel that you also love, or from Universal Monsters, or from Harry Potter. Just take a look around and see what they got, and you'll be pleasantly surprised, I'm sure. So that's all for now. As always, like, subscribe, and follow. Lots more coming up on Rebelscum. Of course, I'm going to have that second part of the Plastic Sands of Tatooine coming out very, very soon. Just give me another week or so. So you guys will finish up that one, and then I might tease what's up next. So always tune back, and until then, stay vigilant, you Rebel Scum.